Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let me ask you something raw and real. Why are so many men today quietly disappearing from the dating scene? Not ghosting women, but ghosting the system itself. Men who once chased affection, validation, and connection are now walking away. Not in anger, but in exhaustion. You can feel it, can't you? The silence, the withdrawal, the quiet refusal to play the same game anymore. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and like this video. It helps this message reach more men who need to hear it right now. Because what's happening today isn't just a shift in dating, it's a silent rebellion. Men are finally saying, I've had enough. Enough of being told they're emotionally unavailable while being expected to absorb everyone's emotional chaos. Enough of being called toxic for setting boundaries. Enough of being punished for honesty and rewarded only when they suppress who they truly are. Something broke around 2020, and by 2025, men stopped trying to fix it. They stopped chasing approval. They stopped explaining their worth. And women, many of them, are finally starting to notice the void that silence created. What used to be playful pursuit is now met with fatigue. What used to be charm is now misread as manipulation. And men have realized that no amount of effort can fix someone who doesn't want to understand them. So they've checked out, not because they hate women, but because peace finally feels more valuable than validation. The tragedy is, this didn't happen overnight. It's been building for years. Each argument about who should text first, every online debate about high-value men, every moment a man's vulnerability was mocked instead of met with empathy. It all stacked up until one day, men just stopped caring, not in bitterness, but in liberation. When a man stops needing external validation, when he finds calm in solitude, it terrifies a culture built on his pursuit. And that's where we are now. Women realizing that men no longer see relationships as a necessity for identity, but as a choice for peace. So if you're watching this and feeling that quiet emptiness, it's not just you. It's an entire generation of men redefining what love, effort, and masculinity mean. And whether the world understands it or not, that silence, it's power. Let's talk about the quiet moment when a man finally realizes he doesn't have to prove his worth anymore. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it happens in silence, maybe after one too many rejections for being too nice. Maybe after realizing that kindness is mistaken for weakness. Maybe after giving his all and being told it still wasn't enough. That's the moment something inside him shifts. He doesn't become bitter, he becomes awake. He starts seeing through the noise, the endless advice, the dating games, the performative self-improvement meant to earn affection. He sees how much energy he's wasted trying to be enough for people who never took the time to see him. And that's when the great withdrawal begins. Men aren't disappearing because they stopped caring about love. They're stepping back because they've started caring about themselves. For years, men were told to man up when they hurt, to do better when they tried, to earn respect that should have been mutual. But there comes a point when a man looks in the mirror and says, wait, what if I stop chasing what keeps rejecting me? This isn't about hate or resentment, it's about clarity. He starts valuing his time, his mental peace, his ambitions. He stops arguing online about gender roles. He stops explaining that being masculine doesn't make him oppressive. He stops apologizing for wanting respect before romance. And here's the truth many don't want to admit. When a man disconnects from the validation loop, his energy changes. He becomes grounded, less reactive, more focused. He starts building, not to impress, but to expand. His worth stops depending on who texts him back and starts revolving around who he's becoming. Ironically, that's when women start noticing him again. But this time, his silence feels different. It's not withdrawal, it's power. It's the kind of energy that says, I'm not angry, I'm free. The system was built around male pursuit. When that pursuit ends, everything else loses balance. Because what happens when men stop chasing isn't loneliness, it's evolution. Men are learning to fill their own voids, to find purpose outside romantic approval. And in that shift, the world is being forced to see something it's long ignored. That men's emotional exhaustion is real, and their peace, It's not negotiable anymore. You see, there's something profoundly unsettling about a man who no longer seeks validation from the world, because for so long society has depended on his willingness to prove himself, to chase, to perform, to please. From the time he was a boy, he was told that his value depended on how much he could give to others, his strength, his money, his loyalty, his time. But 2025 has birthed a new kind of man, one who's done being emotionally indebted for love that's conditional. This shift isn't about giving up on women. It's about stepping away from emotional chaos disguised as connection. Men have begun to see how relationships often demand endless compromise without equivalent understanding. They're waking up to the realization that being needed isn't the same as being appreciated, and it's breaking the illusion that love automatically equals peace. When you've been drained enough times, peace becomes priceless. A man who's been emotionally overdrawn learns that solitude isn't loneliness, it's recovery. He starts enjoying his own company again. The gym becomes therapy. His work becomes expression. His boundaries stop feeling selfish. They start feeling sacred. And this awakening is confusing women right now. Many are asking, why do men seem distant? Why don't they commit like before? But the truth is, they didn't just disappear, they evolved. The modern man has learned to stop fighting for connection that doesn't nourish him. He's done trying to heal people who use love as leverage. He's done explaining basic respect. He's done being told he's emotionally unavailable just because he refuses to be emotionally exploited. This isn't bitterness, it's balance. And balance for men has been long overdue. Because when a man reclaims his peace, he becomes magnetic again, but not in the old way. It's not about charm or chase anymore. It's about presence. His calmness becomes power. His silence becomes strength. And his refusal to play emotional tug-of-war becomes the most intimidating thing about him. What we're witnessing is not the death of love. It's the rebirth of masculine self-worth. The kind that doesn't need approval to exist. The kind that doesn't confuse peace with passivity. The kind that finally says, I'd rather be alone than misunderstood. And that's not arrogance, it's evolution. There's a strange irony unfolding right now. For years, women said they wanted men who were emotionally aware, communicative, sensitive, and honest. But when men started opening up, they discovered something cruel. Vulnerability wasn't met with compassion. It was often met with dismissal or ridicule. So men learned to retreat, not because they lacked emotion, but because showing it felt unsafe. Now in 2025, that wound has matured. Men aren't raging about it anymore. They've simply stopped participating. They've stopped oversharing. They've stopped begging to be understood. They've learned that being peaceful alone is better than being anxious with someone who doesn't see their depth. And it's shaking the dating world because men have finally internalized something women once preached: self-respect. You can feel this shift everywhere. Men aren't talking about chasing or game anymore. They're talking about purpose, business, fitness, mental clarity, and brotherhood. They're rebuilding themselves in silence, not to become more desirable, but to become more complete. That's what's terrifying society right now. A generation of men who no longer seek permission to exist fully. But make no mistake, this isn't about withdrawal from love. It's about elevation beyond codependency. Men are finally realizing that emotional chaos doesn't equal passion, that constant testing doesn't equal intimacy, and that the right woman won't compete with his peace, she'll protect it. What's beautiful, and maybe heartbreaking, is that this evolution is forcing both genders to look in the mirror, because when men stop chasing, women are forced to confront what they've been offering. Authentic connection requires reciprocity, respect can't be one-sided, and emotional safety must flow both ways. So many men have learned the hard way that love without peace is poison, that affection without respect is manipulation. And they're no longer afraid to walk away from it. They're no longer afraid to say, I love you, but I love my sanity more. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. The kind of wisdom that comes from being burned by modern dating culture and realizing freedom isn't found in escape, it's found in emotional sovereignty. And when a man reaches that point, he doesn't hate women, he doesn't even blame them. He just finally understands that the only relationship he truly can't afford to lose is the one with himself. Here's the truth no one dares to say out loud. Most men didn't stop dating because they lost interest in women. They stopped because they lost trust in what dating had become. The culture surrounding love has turned into performance art. Everyone's guarded, everyone's gaming, everyone's terrified of losing leverage. Real connection has been replaced by algorithms and ego battles. And men, tired of being treated like emotional insurance policies, finally said, "No more." When a man realizes that peace is more valuable than attention, something incredible happens. He starts moving differently. His mornings are quieter. His mind becomes sharper. His goals become clearer. He's no longer chasing validation through another person's approval. He's building validation through progress, purpose, and self-respect. That's why so many women are confused right now. They're seeing men who used to chase love now chasing legacy. He's not texting all night because he's busy creating something that outlasts a conversation. He's not showing off online because his focus has turned inward. The energy that once went into seeking connection now fuels his discipline, his fitness, his vision. And ironically, that detachment makes him more attractive than ever, because nothing radiates strength like a man who doesn't need attention to know his worth. That's the quiet confidence women used to say they wanted, but now that it's real, it feels unreachable. What's even deeper is that many of these men still want love. They just refuse to chase it at the cost of their dignity. They want feminine energy that's nurturing, not draining, connection that's mutual, not manipulative. They want softness that coexists with strength. And until they find that, they'd rather be alone. This isn't about revenge or rebellion. It's about healing. Men are detoxing from years of emotional overexertion. They're learning that boundaries don't make them cold, they make them healthy. They're learning that walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom learned the hard way. So when people say men have checked out, they're missing the point. Men haven't given up, they've grown up. They've traded desperation for direction, drama for discipline, and validation for vision. And maybe, just maybe, this quiet exodus isn't the end of romance. It's the beginning of something purer, built on respect, truth, and peace instead of pressure. Here's the part no one talks about. When men walk away, it's not just from dating. It's from the version of themselves they were told to be. The people pleaser, the fixer, the quiet sufferer, the man who thought love was earned through endurance instead of mutual understanding. That man is gone, and in his place stands someone quieter, calmer, but infinitely stronger. He doesn't need to prove that he's good, he just is. He doesn't debate online, doesn't chase attention, doesn't explain why he's distant. He's not cold, he's selective, he's not avoidant, he's peaceful, and for the first time in his life, he feels what he's been chasing all along: emotional safety. This new man doesn't hate women. In fact, he probably understands them better than ever. But he also understands himself now. He knows his emotional labor has limits. He knows his presence has value. And he's not afraid to say, "I'm not available for chaos." Because the truth is, men are tired of being told they're broken for wanting peace. They're tired of being shamed for having standards. They're tired of being painted as villains for protecting their energy. 2025 isn't the end of dating. It's the reckoning of it. It's the moment when men collectively decided to stop trading their sanity for a chance at conditional affection. And in that choice lies something revolutionary: self-respect. Women are beginning to feel that absence. The emotional availability they once demanded is now gone. Not out of resentment, but conservation. Because men finally realize they can't pour from a cup that's always being drained. They've learned that peace is not selfish, it's sacred. So, if you're a man watching this right now, understand something. You are not alone in feeling detached. You are not broken for wanting peace. You are not weak for walking away from what hurts. You're simply waking up to your worth. And if you're a woman watching this, understand this too. It's not that men stopped loving, it's that they finally started loving themselves. So to every man who's checked out, healed up, and leveled up, don't let the world guilt you into returning to chaos. Stay grounded. Stay clear, because your peace isn't just your protection, it's your power. And if you found value in this truth today, make sure to like this video and subscribe, because what's coming next is the psychology behind the men who chose peace over pressure. You won't want to miss it.